You know, there's a virus out there that most of us have probably never even heard of. But for scientists on the front lines of public health, it's a really serious potential threat. We're talking about the avian influenza, H7N9. And the big question we're tackling here is, are we in the calm before a devastating storm?
And this isn't some brand new threat that just popped up on the radar. Nope. A recent paper in the Journal of Medical Virology actually confirms that this virus has been a major public health concern for over a decade now. Scientists have been tracking it, studying it, and trying to figure out its every move since way back in 2013. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the case numbers seem kind of low, why is the global health community so concerned? Well, the answer really lies in the unique and frankly dangerous characteristics of the virus itself. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. The H7N9 virus was first spotted in China back in 2013. Its natural home is in wild birds and domestic poultry. And for the most part, it just circulates among these animal populations, often without making them sick at all. It's like a silent passenger. But every once in a while, this virus makes a jump. It crosses that species barrier, from birds to people, usually when someone comes into direct contact with an infected bird. And when that happens, well, the consequences can be incredibly severe. This is the moment an animal virus becomes a huge human health problem.
Now, when you first see this number, you might think, that doesn't sound like a lot, right? Just over 1,500 confirmed human cases in more than a decade. But just hold that thought for a second, because this next slide is going to put that number into a much, much starker perspective.
Right. Out of those 1,568 infections, 616 of them were fatal. That's the number that really gets the attention of epidemiologists and public health officials. See, it's not always about how many people get sick. It's about what happens to them when they do.
And this chart really drives the point home. When you do the math, you're looking at a case fatality rate of nearly 39%. Let's be really clear here. That means that almost 2 out of every 5 people confirmed to have H7N9 have died. To put that in perspective, the mortality rate for the seasonal flu is way, way below 0.1%. This is an alarmingly high number, and it's the real reason for all the global concern. So why is it so deadly? Well, when H7N9 infects humans, it's not just a bad case of the flu. It can escalate, and fast, into severe respiratory illness and pneumonia. From there, many patients develop something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS, which can then spiral into multi-organ failure. These are the absolutely devastating outcomes behind that 39% number.
Okay, so we've established it's dangerous, really dangerous, but what makes this particular bird flu tick? To answer that, we've got to look at its genetics. Scientists are digging right into its code to understand how it's changing and what it might be capable of next.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, this idea of reassortment. You can basically think of it like viruses swapping parts. Influenza viruses are famous for this. They exchange genetic bits and pieces with each other, and H7N9 has done exactly that, picking up genes from other bird flu viruses like H9N2 to create a new hybrid version of itself. And this whole swapping parts process, it's absolutely critical. A typical avian virus is, built for birds. But through this reassortment, H7N9 has picked up genetic traits that make it way better at adapting to and infecting us, human hosts. It's like an avian virus that's literally learning how to become a human virus. And scientists have actually pinpointed the specific changes that give it this superpower. We're talking about mutations in key proteins, things like hemagglutinin and polymerase basic protein 2. What this all boils down to is that these little genetic tweaks give the virus a better grip, allowing it to latch onto and replicate inside our cells. It makes it a much more effective human pathogen. So what do we have? A virus that's super lethal and is genetically adapting to humans. This leads us to the next and maybe the most important question. Does it have what it takes to cause a full-blown pandemic? Let's go through the checklist that scientists use to figure this out. First thing, and this is a big one, it has the key to our cells. Those mutations we just talked about, they allow the virus to bind to human-type receptors in our lungs and airways. Without this ability, a widespread human outbreak is pretty much impossible. H7N9 checks this very important box. Second, it causes severe disease. As we saw with that terrifying 39% mortality rate, the impact of an infection is just devastating. A virus that only causes a mild illness is much less likely to overwhelm hospitals. H7N9, yeah, it definitely checks this box too.
And third, even though the total number of cases is low, The fact that it keeps happening is a huge deal. Every single human case is another chance for the virus to learn, to adapt, and to get even better at infecting us. It's like it's constantly probing our defenses, looking for just the right combination to unlock widespread transmission. So, when you look at all these factors, it's pretty easy to feel a little alarmed. But does all this mean a pandemic is inevitable? Well, not necessarily. And that's because there's a huge global effort underway to make sure that doesn't happen. And this brings us to the proactive side of the story. The global public health community recognizes the threat, and they have clear strategies to monitor H7N9 and cut down the risk. We're not just sitting around waiting for the storm to hit, we're actively building up the defenses.
The plan is basically threefold. First up is constant surveillance. That means actively testing birds and poultry and quickly identifying any human cases to stop the spread right in its tracks. Second is proactive vaccine development. Researchers are already working on potential vaccines, so we have a major head start if we ever need one on a massive scale. And third is all about classic public health measures. Things like farm biosecurity to control the virus in poultry and prevent it from ever reaching people in the first place.
So, when you boil it all down, the most powerful tool we have in this fight is knowledge. The ongoing research into the virus's genetics, how it spreads, how it affects us, that's all absolutely essential for preventing and controlling it. You have to understand your enemy to defeat it. Which brings us right back to where we started. H7N9 is a virus with proven lethality and a scary ability to adapt. Right now, human cases are rare and the situation is contained. But as scientists keep working, you have to wonder, is this quiet period just the calm before the storm? Or is it proof that we can stay one step ahead?